from different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness. Hi,
I'm Beth.
I'm Tim.
I'm Jessica, and we're just your everyday
Methodist to the madness.
Well, guys, don't know if you know this, but this is our episode 26.
Ooh.
I don't know the official time frame for each. What is this, a season? Are we a series?
Oh.
But we're all the way to episode 26, which means we've somehow survived and stuck with a routine for 26 weeks.
That's crazy.
That's pretty impressive.
That's actually half a year. Like, legitimately.
That is correct, sir. Yes, it is. So all this time, we've all been potentially considering, sticking to a routine, sticking to something. And look at us. We should get ourselves diplomas for graduating. What is this, our Master of Life for completing?
Yeah.
Yes, the Master of Life.
Wait, are we Masters of Life now?
Pretty much. I think that's what it comes down to. If you can successfully complete 26 weeks in a row of a podcast, you receive a diploma for Master of Life in consistency, I think.
Yes. I like that. That sounds good. And we could call this the breaking point where we go to the next season. Oh, it's published.
Such an odd number. You think that we would have had this conversation after episode 25?
Well, actually,
25.
What?
Well, go ahead.
26 is the new 25 in podcast series.
Yes. Well, here's something.
I just thought of that word myself. It's not in the meeting chat or anything.
I like it. What were you saying, Tim?
Yeah, what I was saying is I think anime has episodes that are 24 or 26 episodes. So if we decided to go to the next season after this, then we're doing maybe a little tribute to Japanese culture. I don't know.
Perfect. I like it. I like all these things. So we're on to something.
Yes.
But how have your guys' weeks been? Beth, Tim, anything interesting happen?
Can't think of anything. No, I'm just kidding. Friday night, I made my whole family come out to go see Seussical, the musical. That's how I like to say it. And it was really good. And you might not recognize familiar faces because they were really good with the
prosthetics.
Prosthetics, that's the word.
Yeah.
And Pastor Jim is, of course, the mayor of Whoville. And before the podcast started, I was telling Pastor Jim that I thought it was amazing that they were able to get the technology to magnify the Whos so we could see them with the naked eye.
Yes.
They live on, is it a planet? I don't know. A planet that's the size of a speck of dust.
Yeah, that's amazing. They must have had some super advanced technology to do that magnification that was needed.
Yeah, they must have had a really good budget for that. It was really, really good. And it was fun. I've worked with a lot of people in the community theater scene. And man, we have some talented people in the Antelope Valley. And then the people I haven't worked with yet, I've seen in other productions. And I'm like, oh, I've seen that person in whatever. So it's really, I think it's fun to kind of follow the local community theater.
Yeah.
See, that's what the cool kids are calling it.
Yeah, so, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my Friday. And I also have been trying to declutter my house and clean up a little bit. I cleared some space in my front window so I could start making seedlings for a garden, and hopefully, and I bought some raised planters that I haven't put together yet. It's going to be like, all of this is in steps. I probably won't build the planters until like the day they're ready to go outside into the plant. It's going to be like an ADHD style garden, and I'll let you know how that goes.
That's amazing.
I think I planted the seeds on Thursday, and they're in their own little, they have these little, they look like little greenhouse containers, and a few of them have already started sprouting. So I'm really looking forward to watching all of them sprout.
That's exciting.
That's incredible, Beth. You're like dually talented. You can do crocheting and you can plant things.
Right. At the same time. Just
yeah.
Speaking of Susical, I know I changed the subject, but during the intermission on Friday, I ran into Tim and his mom. So
yeah.
That was fun.
It was very exciting, yes. And I got to see Beth's son, Owen, as well. I hadn't seen him in person in a while.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
They're real elusive, those McCoy kids. Speaking of Tim and Tim's mom, how are you, Tim?
So, yeah, I wanted to chime in on Susical. Yeah, I thought it was a really great show. I thought, like, I was kind of interested in how complicated everything was in the very beginning, but I was having problems following it. And I think I just was tired at that point in the day. But then everything kind of wrapped together so well in the second half. Like, I understood all of the stories, and there were just like really touching moments. And it was just amazing. Like all the music and the storytelling was done really well, like interwoven with the music. And Pastor Jim, he did an amazing job. I thought he played like a really interesting character overall, like how he had to like rhyme everything essentially with what he was saying. And like, and that was a really important part with like JoJo being one of the like main cast members. And then there was Norton the elephant. I just thought it was a great show. So I'm really glad I went. And I'm actually going to be going a second time because the reason why I was there this Friday is because my mom was like, "Oh, you're going to go see Susical with the young adults. Oh, I want to see it with you first. So I'm going to see it a second time." And so I'll really get a full enjoyment experience because I'll kind of be familiar with the story already. I think probably the second time's the charm when it comes to like comprehension and enjoyment when it comes to pretty much anything. So that was a big thing. So the second thing is, and this was before we started recording, I wanted to explain why I was really tired all day today. So I'm like 3 weeks late in this. I decided to give up caffeine.
Oh.
3 weeks late into Lent.
Oh.
Because I'm like, so the precursor to this was yesterday I accidentally took, with my caffeine consumption, I don't drink coffee or tea or soda or anything. I used to take caffeine capsules. So anyway, within a 2-hour period or so, I took way too much caffeine. I guess I had just forgotten that I had taken a capsule like 2 hours before. And like I was okay with it, but I was like really edgy and stimulated. And so I was like, you know what? Do I even really need caffeine in my life? Maybe I could actually like take a break from it and like see how I function like without it and stuff. So it's been a really interesting day. I noticed that I was really tired. I was so tired that I was falling asleep after I walked my dogs at the park. Like I was falling asleep on the way home. My mom was driving us. and but I've had a lot less anxiety all day, and I anticipate that the tiredness is going to start to go away soon, and then I'll just have less anxiety overall. So I'm thinking maybe caffeine could be like something I use on an occasional basis or something if I need like a boost, but overall I'm going to try to function without it. So yeah, this was like I guess, what was it? Something about procrastination. It kind of went in here, and now I just am doing it 3 weeks later than I should have been for Lent, but better late than never, especially since Sundays are kind of like mini Easters anyway. So
That's also on par for procrastination, though, Tim, doing it 3 weeks later. So just saying.
right.
Yeah, it's fine. Anything else, Tim, or should we move on to Jessica?
I'm trying to.
Jessica's doing.
My water heater went out last week.
What?
And for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks prior to this, I was like, you know what? I'm done with cold showers. And I started taking warm showers. Well, I was forced to take a cold shower again. And then I was like, wait, why did I even bother taking warm showers? Cold showers are so much better. So I'm back on the cold shower wagon.
I disagree.
No one ever.
What?
Yeah. Yep. Respectfully, I disagree.
I don't know what's with me in my relationship with water, but basically, showers in general are not something I enjoy very much. So like,
well, if they're cold, Tim, I wouldn't enjoy them either. If they're cold, I would not enjoy them either. I would never want to take a shower. I'd feel like somebody's just taking a hose to me.
Yeah.
That actually might be more enjoyable. I would rather be sprayed down by a hose than be forced to take a cold shower.
Same. Agreed.
I like that hose idea. I don't think that should be put into practice necessarily, but it's an interesting thought, certainly. So yeah, basically, to end with this, my understanding regards to water is I don't like warm showers the most. Hot showers are fine, but they dry my skin out really bad. And so cold showers are my only option for that reason. Well, warm showers is kind of like cold showers, except I get less benefits, but I get just as much anticipation for how much I don't want to get in the shower. Because at least with the cold shower, I like will feel really good afterwards and super refreshed, but have that like fear of getting into the shower. Yeah, so I don't know. That's just been my thing for the last 2 years or 3 years or something. Cold showers.
Interesting.
Jessica?
So, besides that, I think that's my major updates. Yes, Jessica.
Thoughts on your showers, Jessica? You have a system you would like to
with our shower, I prefer a warm shower, nothing too hot. On occasion, I will switch it to cold right before I get out so that I can experience a warm shower and to wake myself up. We have these things that you can install on the shower head that are like minerals. They're like not a Himalayan salt, but I don't know, it's something Amber found on Amazon. But you can put these like crystals or something, so when the water comes out, it's like a natural mineral that it will hit before it comes out, and it's supposed to make your skin softer.
I
love that.
So they only work in warm showers though, Tim. Sorry.
What?
In warm showers. They haven't invented the ones that dissolve in cold water yet.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But other than that, this past week, let's see, not too much has happened. I started reading a new book, and it's one that we all are familiar with. I know that.
Is it the Bible?
You know what? You're really close, Beth.
Oh,
yeah.
The Torah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's a book by Brother Lawrence that Pastor Jim and John have referenced on many occasion. It's In the Presence of God, and I'll have there's more to it, but the title of it, though, is Practicing the Presence of God. And I love being able, I started with just one conversation. It starts off with conversation 1. And there's so many little insights that you can learn from it. And guys, it's like less than $8 on Amazon. So yeah, I really encourage, if you're wanting something to, just every morning to focus in on and maybe do a little devotion on, highly encourage it. So,
is it really long or
no?
Is it super short?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's super short, exclamation point with my voice.
That's excellent.
Yes.
Okay. That sounds, I might have to look into that practice.
Yeah, me too.
God.
Yeah. Again, it's by Brother Lawrence. And just great insight. I love being able to learn different perspectives on people's journeys with their faith and things that they've learned and encountered along their journey. I think those are things that are always really encouraging. So I started that. And then another thing I did was I decided that it was about time for us to have an Instagram for our Methodist to the Madness. So
that is awesome.
Official. I think we have at least 7 million followers at this point.
Yep.
Or 7.
Yes. You'll visit our Instagram page and be amazed.
Yeah, it might not say 7 million yet, but that's just because so many people are trying to join it at once. It takes a while for those numbers to update.
Yeah, it's everything
counting.
is a little bit blocked right now. There's a lot going on in the webs, but if you go to @Methodist to the Madness on Instagram, you will find us. And the goal is to just kind of share a little bit of, some snippets of things that we talk about in each podcast. And then you can have an idea of some of the things that maybe are funny or really insightful. So I'm really excited that we're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks for
that's all that is up with me right now. I mean, this coming weekend, we're heading to OC. Operation OC commences. I'm really excited. I'm going to be on the beach on Friday. I don't care if it's raining. I will lay there and I will be on the beach and I'll be a very happy person. So,
what does OC stand for? Is that Operation Oranges and Cucumbers or?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jessica, I find that the beach sometimes is better when it's overcast.
Agreed.
It is sometimes, yeah.
Eating out, get out of there.
Yeah. I mean, one bonus is that if it is cloudy or raining, chances are you'll have more room on the beach. Not many people are there. It's a very odd thing I've discovered, but great place to go for a vacation if it's raining. Not many people. Your family will be very happy. But Tim, OC is Orange County. Remember?
Oh yeah. Hey, I got the orange part.
I forgot that Tim wasn't joking when he asked that. Sorry, Tim. and I hear it's the same theory for Disneyland.
Yes.
That there are fewer people when it's raining.
Yeah, even though I've been there when it's raining, and if you have something to kind of like cover you, I mean, you're fine. Or just like go and get on a ride. That kind of
or go eat some food indoors.
Yeah, or that as well. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Totally. They have at Disneyland, they have the Carnation Cafe. I love that place. They have like this awesome salmon dinner, lunch, depending on when you go.
That sounds good.
But maybe not breakfast.
Oh, yeah, I think they have breakfast food.
Maybe they have a salmon breakfast bagel.
A salmon breakfast.
Yes. Some people put thinly sliced salmon on their cream cheese bagels.
Wow. we're definitely I'm sure people are going to try this now that we mentioned it. A salmon on the bagels.
All of the followers of us.
Somebody should invent that.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of people.
Yes.
Uh,
But other than that, I'll update us a little bit on things that are happening at the church. For those that went to church today, you may have received a flyer from our very own Lori Shaw, who came around and handed out flyers for those that identify as women who would like to go to the women's retreat. So that is coming up at the end of April. And I learned that you can just go on Saturday. It's like $55, but like if you can't go for the full weekend, like for instance, if you have a ton of animals that maybe you can't get people to watch your animals for the entire weekend and you'd like to just go on a Saturday, you can totally do that. Otherwise, it's only $165 for the full weekend, which I think is amazing. Everything's included. Even a good time is also included, which, you know, that's like priceless, guys. But
yeah,
I greatly encourage you guys to sign up. Call the church office. Reserve your spot. Reverse. I don't know what reverse would be. Reverse your negative thoughts.
I'm gonna not reserve my spot, but then later I'll reverse that.
Reverse.
Oh,
I'll reserve it later.
Yes, exactly. We're doing great, guys. Again, we somehow made it to 26 episodes. I don't know how, but we did. Other things we've got going on is March 14th. We have our grief share from 6 to 8 in the fireside room. On March 16th, in-betweeners are going to be meeting at Denny's at 5:30 p.m. And then they're going to go to Seussical the Musical, which is very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. Amber and I are actually going to go on St. Patty's Day. We were going to go with the Young Adult Life group, but because we're going to be out of town, we're hoping that 2 lucky people will volunteer or get excited to go for free. You can have our seats.
Wait, when are you going?
We're going to go on the 17th.
But when are these tickets available?
Oh, they're on the 15th.
Yeah, the 2 tickets that are available are on the 15th, and Pastor John got the best seats in the house. So, and if you don't know what the best seats are in the house, just ask him, and he will gladly share with you what those seats are. But they are 2 free tickets. If you'd like to reserve those, you can absolutely contact the church office or contact Pastor John, and hopefully nobody has taken those yet. But please have a good time, hang out with some awesome young adult individuals. But yes, anyways, okay. So March 17th is also Scout Sunday. Do you guys have more information on what Scout Sunday is? Are they...
This just in. Please stand by.
So Scout Sunday
is
historically has been where they come and bring in the colors plus lead the national anthem. So I'm wondering if Cooper Finley will be singing the national anthem, which would be great, but maybe not. But we'll also see any who have earned, I don't know what's up with me in reserved and reversed, but anyone who's earned religiously themed merit badges, they will be awarded on that Sunday, March 17th. So this is really exciting.
Yeah.
So for those that are wanting to witness a moment in history, that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, everybody.
It's probably a once a year opportunity, but I'm not sure.
Well, depends on the person, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
So,
yeah.
It's an annual once in a lifetime opportunity is what that is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I happened to see someone with an American flag, and they were walking like on the sidewalk today when I was driving home. Maybe they were doing that in anticipation of Scout Sunday.
I think they were walking to the church for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Couple other things. Is it okay if I jump in for a couple updates? Okay. Kids Club is usually the 4th Sunday. No, I do this every time. It's usually the fourth Wednesday of every month, but because there will be no food for thought the last week of March because of Holy Week, we're going to have it on March 20th, which is the third Wednesday.
Okay.
Bouncy balls again. Yay.
All right. Bouncy balls.
The second thing, we are looking for vendors again for our spring boutique, which is going to be on May 5th. So if you'd like to be a vendor, contact me, Beth McCoy, or call the church office at...
Beth, could you explain what Spring Boutique is? It's kind of for me, but maybe also for the audience.
Okay, so if any of you attended our trunk or treat in October, it was a trunk or treat boutique. And basically anybody who wants to sell their handmade items can reserve a booth. Jessica and Amber had a booth with their handmade pastries.
Oh, yeah.
And
wow.
I usually have crocheted stuff and lots of mugs because I like making mugs now. Yes. It's faster than crocheting.
That is, yeah.
So yeah, if you're interested.
Yeah.
You want to make some chains out of rubber bands and sell them?
You can totally do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Beth, I wanted to mention real quick how impressed I am that you're able to walk and do this at the same time.
It's only because I'm not chewing gum. If I the third one, I'm currently on my I can't do that either.
Wait. So you're walking instead of chewing gum. So if you were chewing gum, then we would just hear like chewing gum noises while you're talking on the podcast.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Anyways, but I am impressed, and I was thinking about getting one of those.
You should. This one was only $169.
And a deal near you. Anyway, well, Beth, I have been eagerly anticipating your ministry moment for this week, because I know that we have someone who is probably going to hit the Broadway stages at some point.
I know.
So we got to get as much of this individual as we can. So I'd love for you to take over and introduce our guest for this week.
Okay, I would love to. So for today's ministry moment, we actually have Lin-Manuel Miranda, who starred in Hamilton.
And I'm not throwing away my shot.
You look and kind of sound like Pastor Jim. Oh, wait, that's because it is Pastor Jim.
Oh, wow.
If you haven't seen Seussical, you have a chance to see it next weekend. But Pastor Jim, why don't you tell us a little bit about the show and what people might be able to expect.
I actually didn't know anything about the show before. Well, that's not true. I didn't know much about the show before I auditioned for it. I think I had seen a Seussical Junior production once or twice in Hawaii. And I knew it was, Dr. Seuss stories, but it really didn't have that big of an impact on me. And I found out later from the director, Marco, he's like, whenever they do a junior version of a show, they cut out a lot of the really important parts. And I absolutely love this show. The music, you were talking about that earlier. The staging that Marco has done is just a fabulous collection of Dr. Seuss stories. So the three big stories that this musical is based on is Horton Hears a Who and Horton Hatches an Egg, and then also Gertrude McFuzz.
Gotcha.
But what was interesting, I'm one of the oldest. I'm not the oldest, but I'm one of the older members of the cast. And I told Marco, our director, when we first got cast, I said, there's probably a lot of younger folks in our cast that haven't read all of the Dr. Seuss stories. Maybe they know, Green Eggs and Ham and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So for every day, and I have quite a collection of children's books. So every rehearsal we had, I brought a different Dr. Seuss book and we read the stories. Some of them, there's only a slight reference in one of the songs. But we probably went through 20 something stories of Dr. Seuss. So
wow.
So quite interesting.
That's amazing. Yeah. Amber knows a lot of those books just by default because she's a school teacher.
Right.
But I think I'm really excited to watch the show with her because I'll know, like, I'm curious. She's probably just going to tell me. I'm hoping she'll tell me the references if I don't catch any. So I'm really excited to see it.
Let her know beforehand that that's your expectation.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that's interesting is, The Cat in the Hat, of course, is probably another one of the books that a lot of people have read. And the Cat in the Hat sidekicks, thing 1 and thing 2, the mischievous helpers that, they were minions before minions were minions, right?
Yeah.
And getting people in trouble and all that kind of stuff, having lots of fun. But thing 1 and thing 2 are actually not in Seussical, but our director wrote them in and made them quite an integral part of the production. So it's really interesting. There's lots of fun moments, very touching at times. I think Tim was mentioning that, and it's just the actors are incredible. I felt like I should be paying money to come to rehearsal because my fellow actors were so good. And I have a lot of fun, but I'm definitely not one of the more accomplished actors in this cast. So it's just really worth your time. Even if you think I don't have any young kids or grandkids, you will love this show.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I love the show. It was fantastic. And it's inspired me to actually visit all the different Dr. Seuss things that I haven't visited yet. And like you were saying, Jim, I haven't had much experience with Dr. Seuss beyond like Green Eggs and Ham and knowing what thing 1 and thing 2 are and the Cat in the Hat. Like I really could use a lot more exposure. I know there's some CGI films that have been made too. So for somebody new to Dr. Seuss, like what would you recommend to really get into like all of those books and all of that material?
Well, it depends. If you're, trying to prep for the show, then I would say the 3 books I mentioned, Horton Hears a Who, Horton Hatches an Egg. Gertrude McFuzz is a story that's in the Yertle the Turtle compilation. Yertle the Turtle has 3 stories inside it. But if you're just getting started with Dr. Seuss, it depends if you're reading for a younger person, then things like Green Eggs and Ham, Hop on Pop, some of those. But if you're as an adult coming in, then I'd, recommend things like the Butter Battle book, the Lorax, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. They have made movies, some animated specials, some full feature ones, but there's nothing like the Sneetches is another one. There's nothing like reading it from the original source.
Wow.
As opposed to, watching the films.
That's awesome.
True.
Yeah. And because this was a collaboration between Palmdale Repertoire Theater and the Palmdale Playhouse, actually the city of Palmdale, the city helped kick in quite a bit of budget for it. So that's why we were able to get the prosthetics that are from Hollywood. And I mean, they make me look incredible.
Yeah.
And plus the costumes and it had a really nice budget and
costumes were amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of the costumes were made by the Palmdale Playhouse crew. Steve Miller and his group is just incredible. But it really is almost a Disney quality production.
It really was.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
That's amazing. Are there snacks available for people?
There are snacks. You can get them before and during intermission. Absolutely.
I got the Dr. Seuss snack pack that came with 2 Dr. Seuss themed items in them. And one was a bookmark that said, "Go the places you'll go." And then the other item was a rubber pencil that you could tie into a knot if you wanted. At least that's what was in mine. I don't know if they're all different, Owen saw the rubber pencil and was like, "Oh, I want this." And so I sadly but bravely gave it to him, because what was I going to do with it? Accidentally left it at the theater. So, alas.
With the rubber pencil, did it have like graphite at the end of it you could write with it, or was it just a full rubber pencil?
It looked like there was graphite, and I couldn't tell you if it writes or not because I didn't get a chance to take it home and sharpen it. But
so was there actual snacks in the snack pack, or was it just a pencil and a bookmark?
It also came with
they were edible.
A Rice Krispie treat, fruit snacks, and a lollipop.
Oh,
okay.
And I gave Owen my lollipop, and he did eat that. So
nice.
Hey, yeah, with a pencil, who knows?
Ooh, no.
Ooh, yeah. Horton here's a ooh.
Yeah. I just have one question that I will ask. I have other questions that I'll forget about or ask you later. But what was it like performing with the prosthetic face on?
Yeah, it's real challenging because there are 3 different sizes of Who noses that our cast bought. Small, medium, and large. I'm in the large category, and the large Who nose, the nostril part actually sits on top of the bridge of my nose. So the prosthetic then blocks, and even though there's 2 little air holes, the prosthetic blocks both of my nostrils. So I can't, once that's sealed and they put it on with a special type of glue, once it's sealed, I can't breathe at all out of my nose. And so it kind of makes, the nasal sound, which when you're talking as a Who works out really well.
Actually, it does, yeah.
So there is that, but it means that you have to learn to breathe out of your mouth and not be freaking out about having this prosthetic on your face. And then they have to, of course, blend the makeup on so that it doesn't look like you have something stuck on your face, but it is your face.
Yeah.
And on our Saturdays, we have a 1 p.m. show and a 7 p.m. show, and the Who's have to be there almost 3 hours early to start the process of getting makeup and costumes and mics. So really on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., I had that prosthetic on. So can't eat anything. I had tried to eat a chocolate at one point when we were, before the show started and we were doing run-throughs and just getting used to the prosthetic. And with your nose completely plugged, when you put something in your mouth, when you close your mouth to chew, you now have no way of breathing and you start choking. So you either have to chew with your mouth open, which everybody loves that, right? When you're chewing with your mouth open. Or what I opted for was drink a lot of smoothies, jambas, and that kind of a thing. So anything with a straw, it seems to work.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think smoothies is way better than chewing with your mouth open.
So will this be recorded and then available for sell like later?
Oh yeah.
I don't think so. With theatrical pieces, it's the theater company that's buying the rights to perform it has to pay a lot of money for that. And they're very, very strict on what you can reproduce. And so they don't want any videos of it, that kind of a thing. I mean, you could probably scour YouTube to try to find someone's bootleg copy of some Seussical somewhere, but no, ours won't be recorded.
It's on my YouTube.
That's dark web YouTube, yes.
Yeah,
That's darkweb.com.
Theatrical.
Theatrical dark web.
Yeah.
But that actually shines a light like out of the darkness of the dark web. No, that actually shines a light on like going to see local theater in general.
Right.
So that really goes to show like how special Seussical really is. So I'm really happy that like we're planning to see it, like the 3 of us, and Beth and I had already saw it, and we hope that a whole bunch of people listening to this podcast get a chance to see it. It's definitely worth your time for sure.
The first 3 shows of our weekend, Friday night, and then 2 shows Saturday, were probably at about 70% full. And wow. The Sunday matinee was probably close to 85% full. Whoa. So I think as word gets around, tickets are going to go pretty fast. Yeah. So if you haven't already got tickets, you should try to do that, because there will not be another. There's just 4 more performances. That's all you got, and it's an amazing show. It's excellent. It's really really good.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to. By we, I mean not Beth or Tim, because they've already seen it.
Tim is going again.
Yeah, I'm going.
If nobody wants one of those young adult tickets, I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
totally. You should. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm really excited about it. I saw some of the pictures of what the stage looked like, and it's really awesome. Is there an Instagram account or somewhere that people can view some of the activity? Is there a Palmdale Playhouse Instagram account?
Yes. Well, I would say Facebook. They do a better job on Facebook.
Okay.
But if you're friends with me on Facebook or Instagram, once Palmdale Playhouse posts it, we're allowed to share it.
Cool.
So we can't create, it's very strict with what can or can't be shared. So we can't even make our own videos and pictures and upload it. So we have to wait until the city posts something through the Playhouse, and then we share it. So if you're connected to me at all on social media, once it comes up, we'll do that.
Awesome. Very exciting. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Very nice.
Other things that are really exciting are things like our weekly sermons that we get to listen to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Having caught that performance.
Yeah, it's quite a performance every Sunday.
You can catch it in one.
But Pastor Jim, are you okay with joining us for the sermon feedback, or you got?
I am. In fact, my wife said that it looked like I was texting all throughout the first service, but I was actually taking notes on my phone. Whenever Pastor John preaches, usually the first service I just listen, and the second service I take notes so I can give him some feedback and help him as he's honing his own craft as a preacher. Mm-hmm. So yes, I took lots of notes. I'm ready to talk.
Wow. Right. Very nice.
Well, that's what I do as well. I get a lot of looks from Amber thinking that I'm like texting, and I'm really writing down notes, taking screenshots of quotes that come across the projector.
Mm-hmm. So, checking Facebook.
Checking my Instagram, all of that. Exactly. Yeah. Important things.
What's 1 million followers now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, since we're on that subject, I don't typically take notes, but what I do is repeat some of the most important points, the ones that stood out to me, and just kind of think about them throughout the day. And I noticed that like pretty much every time I do that, it just makes my day, it makes my week a lot better, like a lot more therapeutic, more enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, and at least when I'm preaching, I'll have sermon notes on there, so you could always just listen the first time and then go back later and review the notes and find some of the insights that you want to focus on for your day or your week. That's a great idea, Tim.
That's awesome.
So this past Sunday, the series continued with Eating with Jesus. The focus was An Anointed Meal. We focused in on Luke chapter 7, verses 36 through 39. And it kind of opened up with welcome sinners. That was the starting point for the entire conversation, which is, I love it. That's kind of the best place to start. So interested in what you guys took away from this, though. Beth, you look like you're about to say something.
Oh, sure, I can say something.
All right.
So what the listener doesn't know is that we usually record our podcasts on Monday evenings, but today, to accommodate Pastor Jim's schedule, we're recording on Sunday night. And I usually don't listen to the podcast, or no, I don't listen to the podcast, but I usually don't watch this until like 5:00 or 5:30. And we record our podcast at 6:00 typically. Today, I really, I think like broke my goal of waiting until the very last minute. And it's only because I decided I'm making props for the SpongeBob musical, and I haven't made any props. I'm working on a cape, but I was like, I haven't made any props. I'm feeling anxious about that. So I went to play practice today and got a list of props I need to make. And that ended at 5:00. And then I came home here and was doing all the things. And I had to listen to the sermon at 1.5 speed just to get done before we started.
Nice.
I've done that before.
Yeah. But first I want to say, I know Pastor John listens to this, so I'm going to talk to Pastor John directly.
Oh, nice.
I overheard somebody today tell him what a really good sermon it was, and that he's really coming out of his shell as a pastor, and with his thing. And so, as sad as I am that he's leaving us at the end of June, it does make me happy to be that fly on the wall when I hear people talk about the sermons and tell the pastors about how they enjoyed the sermons. So good job, Pastor John. Keep it up.
We're going to send you to Burbank instead of staying with us.
Send you to Burbank. And then there's two things, because I didn't take notes, but the first thing Pastor John asked, was there a time where somebody, what was it?
Have you ever been given a label that you don't deserve?
Yes. And that made me laugh because when I was in 8th grade, that's about the time my mom started dating who's now my stepdad, Larry. And I was 13 and my mom gave me permission to dye my hair. And so I dyed it like this deep reddish purple. Cool. And I really liked it. It was cool.
Yeah.
But since my mom was dating my stepdad, we would hang out with him and his kids. And he has 5 kids, but the younger 3 were like my age and, closer to my brother's age. And so Kateri is my stepsister, and I'm 4 months older than her. Mm-hmm. And my mom told me, I don't know how she found out, maybe Kateri told Larry or something, but my mom told me that Kateri's mom told her that she didn't want her hanging out with me because I was a bad influence, because she was judging me based on the fact that I dyed my hair.
Right.
But, my mom had, at me as a teenager, I was a breeze. Like, my mom would agree that I was a breeze to raise as a teenager because I was always where I said I was going to be. And that was usually at home in my room.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my mom and I had a good laugh at somebody calling me a bad influence on somebody else. But anyway, so that was the first thing.
Let me just jump in real quick, Beth. Pastor John started by talking about snap judgments that we tend to make, whether we think we are or not, that our minds are already within just a few seconds making judgments about the people we come in connection with, and how the person in the story, Simon the Pharisee that was hosting Jesus, made that judgment of her as a sinner. Mm-hmm. And we don't know if she was well known for whatever her sin of preference was, or if that's just how he saw her. But that idea of, how often do we think we know someone from just seeing them after a short amount of time?
Wow.
I thought that was a good point. I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. then the second takeaway that I had was towards the end when he said something about imagine that you're at somebody's house for dinner and they're going out of their way on purpose to be rude to you. And Pastor Jim, I don't know if you're still watching The Office or if you ever made it to the episode of The Office called Dinner Party.
I'm slowly making my way through. I'm in towards the end of season 3.
Okay. I don't even remember what season this is, but sorry if this is spoilers for you because I haven't watched The Office in a while, but Jim and Jan date for a little while, and they host a dinner party, and it is the most awkward episode of television I have ever seen in my life. It was until I watched the episode of The Bear in season 2 entitled, I think it's called, Is There a Feast of the Seven Fishes? Is that a thing? Anyway, I think the episode is called Seven Fishes or something. And that is the most stressful thing I've ever seen in my life. There's a lot of and the acting is phenomenal. I know that anyway.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got to that yet, so it must be past.
Really so hard to watch. So
there's so many episodes of The Office are hard to watch because how awkward and uncomfortable they are.
I need to say that this one is really hard to watch, and people who know The Office will know what I'm talking about. It's on par with the Scott's Tots level of awkwardness. Those, in my opinion, are the most awkward, hardest to watch episodes of The Office ever.
So what you mean is you're covering your eyes for maybe like half the episode because it's just so awkward. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that point that John made about, what we do for hospitality and how in this story, the Simon, the Pharisee that was hosting Jesus, didn't do any of the customary elements that you would normally do to make someone feel at home. Like for us today, it'd probably be, can I take your coat? Would you like something to drink? Can I offer you a comfortable place to sit while we get ready? None of those types of things were happening. And then here comes this woman who at least Simon recognizes as a sinner. And she pours out literally from herself all of the elements of welcome and love and affection that a host should have done that never happened that meeting.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. When Pastor John brought that up, I basically had no idea that's what it was. And so that was a really big moment, I think in that story, and it kind of reminds me of the past week with your sermon, Pastor Jim, regarding those excuses that those people were making, just full on basic insults, because it was just against what was customary regarding working with a dinner situation. So yeah, that's very fascinating. I didn't pick that up at all when I was reading that story in the book of Luke. So yeah, it was
it wasn't unlike last week that they definitely were insults. It wasn't like the Pharisee was insulting Jesus. He just wasn't welcoming him. He wasn't doing any of the gestures and the experiences that make a guest feel welcome. And so because of that, I think Pastor John's point was well taken. It became this very awkward experience. And the sinful woman, which pretty much all of us, right? Who is not sinful, went out of her way to make Jesus feel welcome. And he said, I love the point. He started by talking about snap judgments and how Jesus understands what it's like to be labeled. And then he went into that story from Brian McLaren about the video of the people in white shirts and the people in black shirts throwing the ball and the umbrella walking through it.
Oh yeah.
I've seen, I don't know if it was that same one or one very similar as well. Right. And I kid you not, the first time I saw it, I was counting the passes and then they said, what about the gorilla? And I went back and looked and I could not believe that I'd missed it right that first time. Right. So Simon was focusing on her sinfulness. And Jesus was focusing on the love, the grace that she was expressing. And that idea that I think it was Fred Craddock that said some kind of a quote about how there's two people in the story had an understanding of what righteousness was. And Simon, the Pharisee, used it to distance himself from the woman, while Jesus used it to draw himself closer to her. And how both were saying, okay, what does it mean to be righteous? But do you use it as a sort of a stick to keep people away? Or do you use it as an opportunity to draw closer and embrace those around you? So,
yeah.
I wrote down, I miss so many gorillas on a day-to-day.
Yeah. I'm sure you can Google that study just by, white shirt, black shirt, gorilla or something, and you can find it. And of course, if you see it, if you know going ahead, you'll see it. But if you don't know and you just do it, out of the trying to keep track of how many times the ball was passed, it's amazing how your mind plays tricks on you, right?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Tim?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up, Pastor Jim, about the righteousness and how it's like there are kind of like two views regarding it. It's like you're focusing on your own righteousness and the righteousness of your neighbors. But then there's the righteousness of like practicing it by showing love and forgiveness and grace and so forth to everyone. And I think that's like one of the most important things that Jesus brought in his message of love, that that's what we want to be doing. We want to be loving our neighbors. We want to be making everyone's lives better. And it's really an interesting thing that we find ourselves in that situation where we do stumble upon people that are focusing on righteousness and the righteousness of their neighbors, and maybe it's working out well for them and so forth. But I think it's so important that we do our part and just like express love and just try to make everyone have a better day and a better life ultimately. So yeah, that was one really big thing that I got from Pastor John's sermon. Especially, I didn't think about the fact that that is what was happening, that dichotomy, so to speak. It's like, and this was kind of alluded to in one of your sermons, Pastor Jim, about how like, the Pharisee is wondering why Jesus is spending all this time with the sinner and helping the sinner and so forth, whereas the Pharisee would be like trying to uphold all of the people that he feels is righteous, like it's some sort of like special place that you wanna strive to. But well, I think there's this idea that here, this is what it means to live in right relationship with God, and so the Pharisees started out wanting people to live in a right relationship with God. But then they started focusing on what it meant to do that and all of the rules. And if you're breaking a rule, then obviously you're not living in a right relationship. So we're going to have to try to write another rule so you don't, they got so focused on the rules, they missed the bigger picture, which is like you said, the love, the grace, modeling what God models to us. So Jesus was able to see what the Pharisee couldn't see in that woman. He could see the part that she was a child of God, and that, yes, she had maybe made some poor choices with her life, but she was modeling love and hospitality and grace in her relationship with Jesus at that dinner table. And the Pharisee couldn't see that, completely missed the gorilla that was there. Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that last part there, because it reminds me of how beautiful it was what that woman was doing for Jesus, like tearing up on his feet, washing his feet with her tears, and probably her most important ointment. She put it on Jesus' feet and kissing his feet. I mean, that if that's not that's just the most significant way that you could show love to someone, which he did.
Yeah. I think what were you going to say, Beth?
You go.
I was just going to mention, for me, just in terms of my faith and my testimony and everything, my key thing has always been, I just want to, at the end of the day, I just want to know that I've pleased the Lord. And I've spent the day knowing that the day was dedicated to me doing what I felt he was wanting me to do for the most part. Obviously I have to go to work. I don't, I have to go to work on certain days.
We do that for the Lord.
But maybe I'll just quit my job and he'll just provide, right?
That's better.
And so, for me, when I heard this sermon, it was like when he started off right off the bat, like, have you ever been given a label that you don't deserve? And, being from the queer community and also being a woman of faith, a lot of people that are within the Christian community wouldn't necessarily think that those two could be within the same label per se, that it's either one or the other.
I know.
And,
right.
And gosh. I think it's one of those things where there was a quote that was mentioned, how here are two religious leaders suddenly in the presence of a sinful woman. One has an understanding of righteousness, which causes him to distance himself from her. The other understands righteousness to mean moving toward her with forgiveness and a blessing of peace. And I think it's just a remembering that, like Pastor Jim said, we all are this woman. We are all sinners in any way possible, whether it's we gossip or just anything in general. It doesn't have to be 10 Commandment focused things. It can literally be anything in general of what we are sinning with, and I know for a fact that that's one thing I struggle with in loving those who say they love me, but they don't love my lifestyle. And I'm trying to find a healthy balance of grace and trying to figure out at what point, I don't know. I think that's like my biggest struggle, because it's not necessarily if you have to love all of somebody, not just, I love you for you, not your lifestyle, that kind of thing. I don't feel like then you don't love that person.
Right.
Wow.
That's like one of the takeaways that I kind of hyper focused on. I think I naturally do that just because of my faith journey and what I've experienced, but I'm trying to find a better heart for those that kind of say those words.
Yeah.
And figuring out how God can continue to give me a heart of grace towards them and patience and understanding that there's still maybe a lot that their heart has to be softened more, maybe. And that's not up to me, There's only so much I can do.
Right.
One of the challenges is, I think, being judgmental. And you've experienced people that are very judgmental against you and your lifestyle, being LGBTQ. And then it's hard for you to not be judgmental against the people that are being judgmental, right? And you can think if you're not in that community, think in terms of politics, right? No matter where you fall in the political scope, and it's an election year, and we have a hard time imagining who could ever think and believe things that are so different from what we believe. And sometimes that leads us to being judgmental about those other people. And I think that's another thing that Jesus would say, what does it mean to get to know someone and love them? And even if you differ in your opinion politically or theologically or sociologically, can you still love them for who they are, even though you don't agree on some issues? And that's one of the things I think about being a pastor that I've really loved over the years. The congregation, you don't have a liberal or a conservative, a Republican or a Democratic congregation. You have a congregation most of the time that's made up of people all across the spectrum, right? Because they either live in that community or that's the community that their family has been a part of. And so what does it mean to be a pastor for people, a wide variety of people? And so I've gotten to know people. I remember when I went to my third church in Aiea, and it was a church that was right next to Pearl Harbor. And we had quite a few military communities, Army, Navy, Air Force. There was even a Marine base nearby. And I got to know military families. I never really grew up around military culture, and I didn't have that type of experience. And so I got to meet a variety of people who are Christian that had a very different life experience than mine. And so it makes it a lot harder for me to say, the military are all warmonger people. That's not true. That's not true. And Jessica, you were in the service as well. So, and I'm sure it's the same thing about once people get to know someone who is in the LGBT community, you have a certain opinion about what that culture and lifestyle is. And then you meet people that you genuinely care about, and it forces you to kind of change your opinion about at least that person. And so I think that's one of the challenges. I think this parable, or this story where Jesus tells the parable and about this woman, and it's all about what is it that we're not seeing, right? When we're focusing on one thing, that means we're missing something else. And Jesus had that capacity to see beyond what most of us normally see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all the Pharisees saw was that she was a sinner, and she, who knows what it was, because we don't know what it was based on the story, but Jesus understood how loving she was and how grateful she was to be in the presence of Jesus. So I think, practicing that for ourselves, and we hope that everyone else will do the same for us. Just showing that love, and not just as we were talking about earlier, having snap judgments or even judgments in general. Just showing love and grace and everything that we can to help another, I think.
Towards the end of John's sermon, he said that Simon the Pharisee had both undervalued and misjudged Jesus and the woman, not just the woman, but Jesus, and about what, if he knew who was with him here, he wouldn't, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. Right. No, he totally knew what was happening there. And Simon misjudged how Jesus was using that as a moment of grace and forgiveness and reconciliation. And I think that's a great insight, that we probably also have undervalued and misjudged Jesus.
Yeah.
Because we all have our preconceived biases on what we think of Jesus, and maybe what we think he looks like, and all these things. At the end of the day, we don't know necessarily. We can presume based on historical individuals, maybe on what people looked like in that specific region, or there's so much that we could do. But anyways, at the end of the day, I'll just end it with, your faith has saved you. Go in peace. That's the conclusion of it all is, so.
Right.
I think that Jesus looks like the guy who plays Jesus on The Chosen, because that guy does a really good job.
We'll go with that then. It's confirmed. If you watch The Chosen, that is exactly what Jesus looks like.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
There's one thing I wanted to add really quick, if we have another moment or two. So something else. What?
I said we're out of time. We're
out of time.
Just kidding. Yes. Go.
Beth ate cat food. We've got to go, Tim.
Ate cat food?
Instead of tuna, that was from last week's sermon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? When did this happen?
The Pastor John bringing up the gorilla scene and so forth, how we can become so focused on one or many things, and then you're missing all the rest. I thought it was really interesting timing, because a couple of days ago, I started reading this book called The Holy Longing, The Search for a Christian Spirituality by Ronald Rolheiser. And that book talks about spirituality as it relates to Christianity, but just in general, especially the way that he introduces the book. And one of the points that he was making is spirituality is associated with this general like energy that we have, like it can be a sense of unease or something we got to be doing with our time to find meaning in our lives. And so he basically captured it in that your spirituality is what you do with your time, what you focus on. And so I thought it was really interesting that Pastor John brought that up. And something else that Ronald said in his book is he wrote down in Kierkegaard said that a saint is someone that can will the one thing. And so if we want to like exercise maybe a stronger spiritual stance, if at all possible, then we just try to focus most of our time on God and trying to love our neighbor, I think. So anyway, that's something that Pastor John's mentioning that about focusing and then missing reminded me of that I read from that book.
Yeah. That's good, Tim. That's a good book. You'll have to text us the information on that, and maybe we can share that on Instagram.
Yes, indeed. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts on the sermon, everyone? Are we ready to head into some prayer requests? Prayer requests it is. I love the vote that we just did.
All right, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No
Tim,
words needed.
Tim, any prayer requests for this next week?
I think I have a simple one this week. A prayer for me to get through the week without needing caffeine.
Have you had a headache yet?
You know, I must be very lucky with my genetics or something like that, because I'm just not prone to get headaches very often at all. So I actually have not had like any significant headache all day. I think I had like
you next
what?
week. I'll follow up with you next week on that.
Oh yes, indeed.
See if it
okay, headache assessment, or what was the headache journal like this week?
Headache watch.
Yes. Live.
Yeah, a prayer for me to continue on that path. And I guess it's my long-awaited Lent opportunity. So prayers for me to continue until Easter. Then maybe I'll continue past that. I don't know.
Pick up those 3 weeks that you cheated out of Lent.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Add the 3 weeks off.
Yeah. That's funny. We will be praying for you, Tim.
Thank you.
Beth?
Oh, yes. So first, I would like to, this is just a praise that I'd like to share with you. A couple weeks ago, I asked for prayers for my brother who was in the process of putting an offer down for his first house that he would be buying. And it looks like everything has gone the way it should. And he said that his mortgage will start on March 29th, which also is Owen's birthday. And when he's going to be 17 this year, which I'm having a hard time with. Didn't I just have you yesterday? He's walking around in front of me as I'm talking. But when Owen was born 17 years ago, my brother purchased a new TV on Owen's birthday. So his TV had the same birthday as Owen. And I was telling my mom this, and she said that she has that TV now. So it's still in the family. So now his house is going to be the same age as Owen, because that's how houses work and their birthdays. So I'm really excited for my brother who, even though he is the oldest, he's the last of us siblings to finally buy a house. So this is really exciting for him. And I really like the house. He showed me pictures on Zillow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And then the second thing is I'm trying to really get my eating habits and my exercising habits to be more regular and routine. And I did pretty good for the week, but I always fall apart on the weekends. So I'm going to pray for extra willpower, strength, redirection is a word I like for the weekends.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll be praying for you, Beth.
Yeah. Pastor Jim?
I always have, a long list of people that I've been praying for the church or that I've come in contact with. But I would just say, since we'd spent a lot of time talking about Seussical, this is what's interesting is this is the first time Palmdale Playhouse has had a run of 8 shows for any production.
Fantastic.
Normally it's, 1 weekend of 4 or 2 weekends of 6. And this is 2 weekends with 8. And so people today were feeling, before the curtain went up for our performance, are feeling a little tired. Couldn't tell by watching it, but I think bodies are starting to wear down. Those of us that have prosthetics on and having to breathe out of our mouth the whole time, our throats get very dry. And some today were feeling like they're starting to get a little sick. So prayers for healing and strength for those all connected to the cast, because it's a really, really fun show. We want people to be at their best.
Yeah, absolutely, Pastor Jim. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Jessica.
Thanks for asking, guys. Yeah, so the only prayer is really just safe travels for myself and Amber as we go to the Orange County, or as Tim likes to call it, oranges and cucumbers. And we're going to be leaving on Thursday evening-ish. Well, after Amber's done teaching on Thursday, we're going to head down there. And then we'll be returning on Saturday afternoon. If we are able to make good timing, then I'll be able to head straight to Simi Valley, because I golf on Saturdays, now that I'm a professional golfer on Saturdays for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that can happen. And then if not, I'll have to let them know I'll have to miss that one, which I would be really sad about, because we're supposed to be working on shipping and I really need help on my short game. So anyway, that, and then hopefully that we're just safe and safe travels, and that we can just have a relaxing weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. So that's about it on my end, though.
Yeah, definitely, Jessica. We'll be praying for you on that.
Yeah. And worst case scenario, guess what? We can go back again next month, and we have to take another vacation. So I'm trying to find the positive in this. And to me, that seems like a really awesome positive.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But anyways, well, I would say this was a very successful podcast episode. The official 26th episode altogether.
All right.
Which
it could
Tim
be
confirmed is half of a year.
Oh,
can't believe it.
Right. Yeah, that part is confirmed. Now, the unconfirmed part is this the last episode of season 1? Oh, you have to tune in to find out.
Dun, 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 dun.
Well, anyway, thank you, Pastor Jim, for joining us. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure.
My pleasure.
Yes. And if you guys haven't gotten tickets yet, please be sure to get tickets ASAP. Otherwise, it will be SOLD space OUT. And you don't want that to happen. You want to get those seats. So
thank you for listening.
We're all from different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness.